And the first part of this meeting, if we can just close our eyes or turn our attention inwardly, so we can have a short guided meditation. So welcome yourself. Welcome your experience freshly. A fresh, new moment, never experienced before. No need to carry the past. It's not necessary in this moment of presence. There is nothing you need to do. All what needs to be done is being done. As you are right now, as presence. There are no problems. Whatever appears flows through you, like the sound of this voice. Sensations within your body, images, thoughts, they flow through you. You being this aware presence, this effortless beingness. In this moment, awareness is every moment. Uninterrupted. The reality that perceives is this transparent presence, effortless. You are not the instrument of perception, you are the reality which perceives. And this reality is neither male nor female. Neither here nor there. You, the reality that perceives in this moment, every moment. You are not an object. An object appears to you, but you are not an object which appears. Time and space appear to you. You do not appear in time or space. Only an object is seeking another object to complement it. The lion is seeking the gazelle in order to satisfy their hunger. The acorn is seeking nutrition from the earth and from the rain to germinate and in time appear as an oak tree. But consciousness, awareness is not an object that is seeking other objects to complement it. Consciousness is not seeking happiness in order to become happy. It's not seeking an experience in order to become whole and complete, because consciousness, awareness is not an object. You are not made out of flesh and bone. The body is, maybe, one way of looking at the body. But awareness is not made out of flesh and bones. In ignorance, we believe we are the body. We believe we are a female form or a male form or some other form. The mind is in ignorance, bound by this belief, by the belief that I am the body, I am a mortal form. So the mind is afflicted. Perceives via a false belief. So we investigate this belief. On what ground? Do I believe that I, consciousness, awareness, I'm born with the body and I die with the body, dependent and limited by a particular form? What is the evidence? Or is it some form of hallucination? An unhappy belief, full of worries and concerns about me in time? All along, the reality of our experience remains as it is, a vast ocean of awareness, presence, whatever words you want to use, undefined, infinite, formless, eternal, free. The joy of being. Beyond separation. Non-dual. Advaita. Do not be distracted by sensations and thoughts and images. They don't matter much. Like the water is not distracted or affected by the waves. If it takes on the form of waves or steam or clouds or ice, nothing happens to the water. Nothing happens to the essence. Do not be concerned or disturbed by phenomena, by the forms and the shapes that you take. Your essence is untouched by the mind, the world. That which you are is beyond awakening and non-awakening. This recognition of your formless eternal beingness pacifies the mind and relieves the mind from the afflictions. It is the mind which is transformed. You remain as you are, as you have always been. The peace of being, the transparency, the oneness. The one reality. Okay. If you have any questions, anything that you would like to explore, please make sure to unmute your mic. And we can share together here. So any questions, any comments? Hi, Walter.
Hello, Magdi.
Yes.
Thank you for
yes.
that meditation. I discovered haiku yesterday. I've known haiku for years, but never thought of it in a non-dual way. And I thought I would write a traditional haiku expressing non-duality. So if I may read that.
Sure. Yes.
So, only ever now, formless, ceaseless happening, appearing as this.
Only ever now, formless, ceaseless happening, appearing as this.
Yes. And I think it's a wonderful format for non-duality because there is, the teaching is not teaching, but the expression is so simple and so concise that it fits well with this particular medium.
Yes, only ever now. Yes, so beautiful. Ever ceaseless happening.
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat.
Yes. If I may make a comment.
Yes, please. Yes, that's it.
About the ever ceaseless happening.
Yeah, formless, ceaseless happening. Yeah.
Formless, ceaseless happening. Formless. Formless. Yes. Formless. Formless and ceaseless. The ceaseless and the formless is the non-happening which seems to be happening. In a way, of course, I'm just moving away from your haiku, if you don't mind. I'm just going to use your haiku as a springboard. So happening, when we use the term happening, when I use the term happening, I refer to it in terms of appearances within the mind, waves on the surface of the ocean in a way, or forms, myriad forms thoughts, sensations, perceptions. What they refer to in Sanskrit, the Shakti aspect of Shiva, the dancing aspect of the formless, of the unmoved, the movement of the unmoved. In Advaita, we use the form to somehow lead us to the formless, to reveal to us its essence, its source. Because all form, all happenings have a source, have an essence, have a reality to them. They do not have reality within themselves. Anyways, very lovely haiku. Thank you for sharing, Walter. Yes. I think I don't want to speak too much when it comes to haiku. It goes much deeper than the words. I remember years ago, I was in the Adirondack Mountains, I'm talking about maybe, I don't know, 50 years ago. I was on a walk in the woods, in the forest, with a friend. And there was a stream, and we sat at the edge of the stream, soaking into the beauty of being in the forest and the sound of the stream. It was very still, and yet, you know, there's so much happening in the forest. And there was a frog on a rock. And the frog, at some point, it sort of leaped out in the air and ploof. That was the haiku. The ploof. A beautiful haiku. Thank you, Walter. Holger?
Yes, thank you, Magdi. Something happened. For some reason, I got kicked out.
Oh.
And now I'm not co-host anymore. And we need to allow again every participants to unmute and turn on the video.
Okay. Is that better now?
Yeah, better now.
Okay. Not sure. No.
Hey, Maggie, it's Frank. Could I ask you done, Holger? I don't want to cut into what you were saying.
No, I'm done. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, appreciate that because I couldn't unmute. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Hi, Maggie.
Hey, Frank. Hello, Frank.
And hi, everybody else. It's so nice to see everybody. Anyway, so I think this is going to sound like a second grader question. Can you hear me okay? No?
Yeah, we hear you okay, but we don't see you. Yes.
Oh, yeah, because I'm driving. It's really dark.
Okay, sure.
There I am. Do you see me now? I'm by. Anyways, yeah, it's 5 o'clock. It's pitch black out here where I live now. So anyway, yeah, question. I think this might sound like a second grader asking a question here, but it's just something I really want to know. So, although there is a little bit of deep thinking going on here with this question, and it has to do with Okay, let me just ask you this straight out. Does consciousness feel, or is it just the body mind that feels in belief only? Is there any feeling at all going on by any entity? Because there doesn't seem to be an entity to feel things.
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, I'll stop there and then I'll ask this follow up after that.
Mm-hmm. So the best way to look at your question is if we can look at right now in this moment. What is our experience? Not the narrative about our experience, not an after the fact interpretation of our experience, but our experience in this moment. So in this moment, in the now, let's say, the past is gone, completely gone, and the future hasn't yet arrived. So in the now, our experience is not occurring in time. It is occurring in the now, which is not time. You follow?
Yes, so far so good.
Okay. So then the question is, given that our experience is not in time, what is a sensation? Because I think your question was, does consciousness sense or feel? What is a feeling or what is a sensation in the absence of time? In other words, in the reality of our experience, what is a feeling or a sensation? Because awareness, experience, presence, reality, whatever word we want to use, does not occur in time, there is therefore no narrative. There is no mind, because mind unfolds in time. A narrative unfolds in time, past, present, and future, blah, blah, blah. So coming to the heart of your question, the question about feelings or any experience that occurs in time or any mind experience does not apply to consciousness. Now, this does not mean that it does not apply to mind. Mind is sort of, let's say, a depository of experience. There is memory, you know, images I have when I was a young boy, my mother, of friends, and thoughts about future and so on. All of that is unfolding, is what we say the mind. So feelings, which relate to past, present, and future, which relate to some sort of thoughts, some sorts of memories, some sort of interpretations, some sort of sensations, refer to the mind, but they do not refer to consciousness. By the simple fact that consciousness is indivisible, it's not made out of, is unsegmented, and does not unfold in time. So when we say, I am feeling so and so, such and such, we are referring to the mind. In other words, to a perception. we are perceiving a certain sensation or perceiving a certain thought. And so when we say, I am feeling this and that, we're referring to a perceivable, something perceived, but we're not referring to consciousness. Now, what perceives the mind? Ultimately, it is consciousness. There is only one reality, perceives. An illusion cannot perceive. A thought cannot perceive. The mind does not perceive. The perceiver in chief is consciousness. Now, there are levels of, say, maybe I'm putting it in quotation, levels of reality here. Perceiving a certain event is different from being in the event. When you're watching a movie, you're perceiving, let's say, a tragedy on the screen. Somebody is doing harm to somebody else, somebody is suffering on the screen. But from consciousness perspective, consciousness is in the couch watching the movie. It is not suffering, it is not feeling this sense of lack. It is just watching a movie where the character within the movie are playing the suffering show, or the feeling show, or the emotions, the show of emotions, or the play of emotions, or the play of feelings. That's an important distinction to comprehend the experience of consciousness as opposed to the phenomenal experience of the mind. So you follow Frank?
Yeah, yes, I'm surprisingly so. Yes, I am following. I do have a follow-up to this. Can I ask now, or were you still did you want to finish what you were saying?
No, we're good. I mean, except if you have a follow-up question about it, yes.
Well, it's about this. The reason I'm asking this is because I've done those yoga meditations for a while, and when there's talk about doing the tantric, the tantric versus the Vedantic, and the tantric is where you go into the sensations in the body. I have a lot of sensations in my body. I've been sick for a month and a half with different things, and I have emotional sensations. And when I wake up in the morning, I still have a lot of I call them emotional sensations because they seem to be driven by emotion. And so I'm going into these emotions, and I'm swimming around them and doing all the stuff that the meditation starts to do. And I start wondering, who's doing all this, who's doing all this swimming around in these meditations, and who's going into these sensations and getting really up close to them, as up close as possible. And that's where the question came from. It's got to be consciousness. Like you said, consciousness is doing the perceiving, but it's the body mind that's feeling. Is this what I'm understanding? It's the body mind that's feeling the sensations, going into these sensations and swimming around in them and getting up close to them and saying, I can, you can be with me for the rest of my life and all that. That's the body mind, because sensation doesn't even get involved. Awareness doesn't even get involved in sensations. Is that a clear understanding, or what? Anyway, that's where
it depends from.
Back to you.
It depends from what position you are approaching this question. If you're approaching the question from the perspective that I am a body mind, I am this person, I am a separate, consciousness, a limited and separate consciousness. From that perspective, then the sensations, the angst, the emotions, they relate to you as that separate entity, but a separate consciousness. But when you take a closer look at the separate consciousness, it depends how you look at it, you will find that it is just a belief. There isn't, in fact, a separate consciousness. So, but when you are approaching this question about who is it that is navigating, who is it that is feeling those feelings, who is it that is getting closer to the feelings, from the position of I am this person, I am Frank, I am this man, I am this person, then that is what you are, that's the download, that's your experience. But from the perspective of the actual meaning, not from the perspective of the mind, not from the perspective of I am this or that, I am Frank, but from the perspective of purely I am. And that's not a mind point of view. I'm not believing to choose that I am versus I am not. I am is absolute. It's not something that is a download onto the mind. There is an imprint that is downloaded onto the mind from the reality of I am. But I'm not talking about the download onto the mind. I'm talking about the reality of I am. From the perspective of the reality of consciousness, then there is nothing and nobody who's doing anything. So that brings us to, well, then what are these yoga exercises? These yoga exercises that are telling me, you know, the approach of getting closer and closer to the emotion, feeling them, navigating through them, swimming in them, whatever. What is that about? Now, the answer to that question is that these sort of yogas are expedient means. They are tools that are presented to the mind who believes that I am a separate consciousness. They're tools that are provided to this mind to navigate towards a deeper understanding that goes beyond the understanding or the belief that I am a separate consciousness. So as a separate consciousness, we are guarded. We are in a protective or an offensive or evasive mind state. That's as a separate consciousness. So as a yoga, as a methodology, we tell this particular mind, okay, look, those feelings, those emotions are here, they're yours. Trust me and open yourself up, relax, rather than defending and building evasive methods. Explore them. Because in this exploration, you will find that all this effort that you're exerting in defending or attacking, this effort is in vain. You don't need to exert this effort because you are exerting effort against yourself, and there is nothing in fact that is a danger to you. So this method, and again, what is it's not the Vedantic approach. What is the other term? It's the
Tantric.
Tantric. So
Tantric. So it basically it's kind of an intermediary thing to do. Like it's almost like that that is about the thorn, taking one thorn out with the other thorn and throwing them both away. Is that the idea? Pretty much.
Yes, because once you realize experientially that feelings and emotions are appearances that are equal in appearance to the weather. In other words, they're neutral, impersonal events. Once you experientially get to that understanding, then the personal aspect that was existing, that led you to defend yourself and struggle internally, relaxes and ceases to be significant for you. So, yeah, these are tools of pedagogical tools. And because there are two aspects to the teaching. There is the understanding that I refers to formless, absolute reality of consciousness, and that this consciousness is not contained, it's not personal, it's not limited to, doesn't arise out of the brain, it doesn't arise out of the body, it doesn't arise out of the universe, it doesn't arise out of the Big Bang. There is that understanding. But there is also another aspect to non-duality, which is to be livingly this understanding, that understanding to be living itself through you, in your feeling state, in your body, in your life, in your relationships, etc. So the Tantric approach focuses on the feeling state, on the contractions within the body, the defensive strategies that we are unconscious of, that are operating. And the purpose, the objective of the Tantric approach is to release from the body, or soften within the body these tendencies, and to pacify them, and to reveal them, to reveal their emptiness to you being consciousness.
Yes, I'm getting that. Wow, that's really good. Thank you, Maggie. I was listening to I'll end with this, but I was listening to a podcast on this subject, and the questioner asked how you can, if it's possible, it would be possible to try to do both Vedantic and Tantric together as one. And the answer was that you could take a statement like "I am sad," which has the subject, both of those, and just stay with the fit to. That's one way to do both together. And then that's where the question came up to me. The question was like, who's doing the feeling though? That's where this whole thing started. So, but now I really have a good understanding of this. That it's just like it's an intermediary position. It's almost like I've heard the word concession being used. That's like a concession to the body-mind belief, I guess, to get rid of the illusion, I guess. Like one illusion to get rid of another illusion, I suppose, is one way to put it, right? Anyway, that's really helpful to me.
No, one thing that's really important for you to understand is that, the referent I, that I refers to itself. Consciousness refers to itself. It does not refer to the body-mind. I,
right.
I, consciousness. So just be clear about that, that whenever you're referring to consciousness, it is consciousness that's referring to itself. Whenever I am
Yeah, I do understand that. I think that, and the question that was put forth, where I was talking about when the teacher said, take the statement, I am sad. They were talking about these, I guess the small I. The teacher was talking about the small I, not the big I, not consciousness, I guess. So get rid of the I, which is the subject, and then sad, which is the object. Does that sound right to you at all, or not?
When you say I am sad, two ways of looking at it. One is that, okay, I'm perceiving, I meaning consciousness, I'm perceiving a certain sensation or emotion or feeling, which I am choosing because I am the absolute freedom. I consciousness is complete freedom, which I'm choosing to label sad based on my freedom to label experience as my complete freedom. So I am viewing out of myself because there's no outside reality. I am viewing within myself and out of myself and to myself something which I'm referring to, I'm choosing to call it a sad feeling. Okay, that's perfect. That's one way of understanding the statement, I am sad. Another way of understanding the statement, I am sad, is that there is somebody who is sad. There is, in fact, somebody who is sad, and his name is Magdi or Frank or John or Mary or whatever. There is somebody who is sad, and they're actually suffering. They're actually sad, they're hurt, whatever. That's another way of understanding, and that's in ignorance. In ignorance, consciousness chooses to believe that there is, in fact, somebody outside of itself. There is somebody beyond itself. That there is another reality that is called Frank. There is a reality to a body-mind. There is somebody real out there who is experiencing a real feeling. Because if they're real, if I've created Frank to be real, then their feelings are real. And they're hurt. And they're praying and hoping for God to help them. Now, all of that also, that second model is consciousness creation, but in this case, consciousness is choosing ignorance, is choosing not to know its own creation. This is why we say in Advaita that, in fact, ignorance is a choice that consciousness makes. Consciousness meaning what? It's not somebody out there, somebody in the sky with a big eye looking down on us. No. Consciousness is the reality, is that which you are. I, awareness, I, consciousness. So I choose ignorance.
I heard Francis one day say that we should be open to the fact that we're creating everything that we see, including the planets and everything. I thought that was really mind blower. But it's just that I guess there is a forgetfulness. He said to be open to that, not saying that. But he said to be open to it. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is. Francis does say that, but he's very clear that be open to the possibility that I create the entire universe. I, not being Magdi, not being Frank's mind.
Right. Yeah. Awareness, yes. Consciousness.
Yes, absolutely. If there is one reality, whatever is quotes unquote created can only be created out of that one reality, can only have one source. Given that there is one source, all creation is just the expression of that one source.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thanks, Maggie.
All right, Frank, be safe.
And I am at my destination, so I took the whole ride to ask you that question. I so appreciate you answering it.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All right. Any questions?
Maggie?
Hey, Bill.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I do.
Thank you very much, Frank, for that beautiful question. Frank, made it very tangible, this experience of you having been sick and then these uncomfortable feelings and you're lying in bed and now what? So, and then you followed up, Maggie, by describing, by alluding to what you may have called the meteorology or the weather of the mind. This comes in, that comes in. So another experience, maybe it's repetitive regarding what Frank just said, but this morning, the cat woke me up and cut into my REM cycle. And so I woke up with this stormy mind. And it was interesting. And yet, I, like probably most, if not everyone here, has a preference. I have the preference for a generous mind, a loving mind, a peaceful mind. And sometimes that's there. And in this case, there was almost nothing that pleased it. The book was in the wrong place. The glass didn't have enough water, and so on. So there was this conscious awareness. It sounds a little bit arrogant. There was a noticing that this was the case. Right. So is the preference extra, number one? And number two, is there truly a pacification by consciousness of mind so that stormy weather does not arise?
Mm-hmm. Well, in terms of your first question, Bill, yeah, the body-mind has natural preferences. It prefers to get rest when it's tired, prefers to get fed when it's hungry, prefers to have company when it's feeling like it wants to cuddle or have friends around. Similarly, the trees on the leaves on the tree like have a preference for the sun, to turn towards the sun to get nutrition, I guess. Yes, that's not natural. I don't know, but it doesn't have anything to do with you. You meaning consciousness. Yes, it's true that you are the creator of all of that. Meaning consciousness is the creator of the universe, the trees, the ocean, gravity, thoughts, perceptions, sensations, etc. But the creator is not subject to its creation. The creation is subject to the creator, but not the other way around. And we're not talking about a scientist in a lab, we're talking about absolute reality, the reality of consciousness. Everything that is created is the creation of the reality, the one reality. Its essence is that one reality. We use the word creation. The creation as a word seems dualistic, it's like an object and a subject. But of course, I think you know my meaning, just using this lingo, that the water is not creating waves. Water is not creating ice. Water remains as it is. Ice is just an impression of water. Steam is an impression of water. Waves are an impression of water. So yes, there are preferences, within the realm of manifestation. An object that is held at 10-foot, height and is released. It has a preference to go down towards the ground. Its preference is referred to as gravity. It's within the design, the grand design, if you want to use that term, the design of things. But it doesn't have anything to do with you, meaning you, the reality of this of this manifestation. You're not subject to the manifestation. You're not, the experience of the body needing hunger or needing some nutrition or needing some rest or needing to lay in bed, a little longer because it stayed up late the night before or whatever, has nothing to do with you. You are, in a way, the freedom of being. So you could provide the body what it needs whenever you choose to, and within the possibilities that are available to you. For example, you may want to take another hour of rest, take the cat out of the room, take another hour of rest, but it may not be possible for you right now for other reasons, whatever the reasons are, and so therefore you don't. But the question is, why do you suffer? I'm not saying that you are. I'm just speaking generically. Why would one suffer? Now, there has to be some sort of identity for suffering. You've got to somehow, because you are just this awareness. You're perceiving sensation. You're perceiving tiredness. You're perceiving some mind events and body-mind events. You're perceiving those body-mind events. You could be perceiving a snowstorm. You could be perceiving a volcanic eruption from a distance. You're perceiving. But why do we suffer? The only way for us to suffer is for somehow to be an entity, to be there has to be a suffering subject or object, whatever. There's going to be a suffering entity within that entire structure, this entire manifestation that suffers. Now, what creates that? Well, we take a look at that. First of all, what is it? What is this suffering entity? What is it that is really, irritated? And when you look at that, you find that it's just this current experience. Right now, in this moment, I'm choosing to be irritated. I'm actually choosing, saying, well, I'm feeling freaking irritated right now. What's imposing that upon you? Where is that coming from? It's not like somehow you've been plugged into the irritation channel. They just plugged you in and now they downloaded in you, 20 gigabyte of irritation. There's no such thing. The irritation is within you, by you, for you, from you, not from where the cat was just meow. That's all the cat was doing. Meow, meow. It's just coming in, just doing whatever the cat is doing. But I'm irritated. So I take a look at that and I find that, heck, yeah, I mean, that freaking cat or my mother or my grandfather or whatever, my partner is something, why didn't she close the door, whatever. Yeah, but that's my dance around. I already chose to be irritated. I already chose irritation. And now I'm choosing to, okay, well, let's find blame now. Let's formulate a story that nobody can argue with me. Nobody can argue with me because I've got 10 various responses that prove to them, pie in the face, that here are the reasons, the 10 pie in the face reasons why I am irritated. And anybody else in my shoes and in my situation, in my condition, will be equally irritated. Hurrah, bravo, you won. You're the irritation queen. You get the gold medal. Now, on the other hand, and that's what's fascinating, is that via our understanding about this process and the understanding about the illusory nature of this me that we keep re-downloading it. All right, let's download into me again. Via the understanding of that we are choosing, it's always consciousness, that I, doesn't matter who this I is, it's I am downloading this irritation program that I've got many, many modifications of it. You know, it's one program, but heck, I could spin it like you spin a rainbow. Look how many colors there are in the rainbow, you see? So via the understanding, and also via the understanding about the process and the understanding about about the reality of consciousness, that in this moment, I is not Magdi or Bill or anything like that. Of course, there is a Magdi, there is a Bill as an appearance, as mind, as perceptions. But I, as this transparent, formless presence, whatever words you want to use, the understanding about that and the getting the sense of that's in fact, this is what is real in my experience. That via an understanding, the power of these downloads, of these irritations, is that something is unplugged out of that mechanism. This does not mean that the mechanism is going to boom, like just shut off the light. It's not like that. There is a what is called the Vasana process. It's a process. There is like you put on the brakes in your car. It's going to take you maybe 30 years to stop the car. You know, there is that process, and that process is a process of realignment. This is where we can choose to sort of, okay, here is irritation. Yes, the cat woke me up. I can sense this body, you know, quotes unquote tiredness, which is a form of label, but I can sense something. I'm sensing something, but I am unmoved and untouched. I am the stillness. I can, you know, like sometimes we say that the peaceful mind is like a mind that is sort of in deep sleep but awake. That you remain awake. You are never non-awake. I don't mean the body Bill or the body Magdi or the mind Bill or the mind Magdi. I'm talking about you, the reality of consciousness. That which I am is always awake, always present, always being. Not present to something or not present from something, just present as presence. It is presence. And everything that's unfolding is just an expression of this presence, including the irritation, including the cat, you know, it's just this presence taking on this form. So that there's no longer something coming to me, knocking on me, or me, I'm pushing back or not able to push back. It's not that relationship anymore. It's actually, all of it is myself. All of it is this cosmic dance, and I am the dancer, and I am the viewer. As a dancer, I feel, I emote, I speak, I dance, I laugh, you know, as the dancer. And as a viewer, and as the creator, I am unmoved. I am in the couch watching the show. It's a way of speaking, of course. It's not like a dual thing. Like it's not like there are two realities, you know. It's a way of speaking about it.
So then, wanting to be done with the irritation is just another identity that's not helpful, and it's kind of a perpetuation, no?
You know, what is it that's wanting? You know, consciousness. If consciousness is wanting to be done with the irritation, then it's consciousness's freedom to play this game. Now, if it, in fact, there is a me, a separate consciousness that is actually feeling that, oh God, I mean, there's an urgency here. Something's happening to me. Then that's also the choice of consciousness to play the game of the irritation and to experience as if it is in fact being victimized, being a victim of the irritation. All of it is consciousness. So you can choose. You can choose to be the irritated consciousness, or you can choose to be the consciousness playing the game of irritation, or you can choose to just be. Just be. And not that one is better than the other. It's your freedom. It's not like, oh my God, I'm really suffering. It's the end of the world. No, there's no end of the world. Consciousness has no beginning and no ending. But I would say that at some point, as a truth lover, we become naturally more and more drawn towards the choice of being peace, living out of love, living out of beauty, living out of wisdom. Our understanding takes over in a way. It's sort of, it makes the choice to, okay, there's irritation. Okay, yeah, what's the problem? I mean, bodies. Do you expect that do you know of any body that has not experienced irritation? Or can we imagine a body, is a sentient body, not to experience irritation ever? No way. That would be like being on heavy drugs. You have to be on heavy drugs. And even then, who knows? Right? I mean, we've done a little bit of that, but it didn't do it,
Thank you, Maggie. Thank you.
All right, Bill. Cool. Nice to see you, Bill. Any questions?
Okay, if I share my update.
Yes. Yes. Hello, Angel. Right.
Hi.
Let's see your hand up. I'm sorry. Okay. Yes.
No, I just froze it, and
Okay.
whoops. I'll put myself on unmute so you guys can see me. I mean,
Hello.
on the video, whatever you want to call it. Last week, was it last week or was it this week? Anyway, I asked you about that question that I asked, and I was playing with being the observer rather than the participant. It was mind-blowing for me, because what I realized, which I'm just loving this conversation because it's everything that I asked you about in the last week, is rather than being the participant and bringing love to the experience, I chose to shift and become the observer and then bring love to that. And what ended up happening, and it was just, for me, it was extraordinary, is I literally rose my body above the earth and saw the earth's illusion and all of the personalities and all of the limitations and all of the illusions. And it was just an awakening for me to see that I'm not the personality, which I have always known anyway. I talked to you about that. I'm not the mind, the body, or the emotions. You experience it. But when I got triggered, I became the personality. Yes. So I played with being the observer instead.
Yes.
And I could feel the sensations of discomfort. And instead of becoming a victim to it, I felt it and just was present with being in that sensation. And within seconds, it dissipated. And then I brought love into that. Beautiful. And it was, for me, it was, I'm an ultra sensitive, so I feel a lot. Yes. So it's really easy to play a victim to it. But because I was able to get that brilliant comment from you, it shifted to an observer instead. It just I'm still mastering it. And it's just, when I rose above the earth and saw all of that, I'm like, this is crazy. The veil is that thin. And yet we're sucked into this craziness and creating so many stories around it. So anyway, I wanted to share that. It was pretty amazing for me.
Wonderful. If I can, add that that which perceives is one perceiver. It's not the particular mind that perceives. That which perceives or which witnesses is not the mind. We witness the mind, we witness the body, we witness the world.
Exactly.
The world, body, mind. And that perceiver is one. That which perceives through the body, mind, what we call angel, is the same one which perceives through the body, mind, which mom and dad and we all call Magdi or Nathan or whatever. So the perceiver is a universal perceiver. So in a way, it is the universe that is perceiving through you.
There was a oneness instead of a separation and a duality,
yes.
Personality and essence. There was a oneness of truth that the universe and I are one.
Yes. Beautiful. Yes. Yes, and the leaves on the tree, the fruits on the tree, the branches of the tree, the root of the tree, the earth that nourishes the tree, the rain that nourishes the earth, and the sunshine, and that's all one. It is all.
It's quite extraordinary.
It's all one, and we are the synthesis of this oneness. This is where the understanding, the realization of this oneness takes place within I, consciousness. Consciousness, that which perceives, is eternally awake, never disturbed, it's never divided, or never anguished, and is that which we are. That which we are. And the world, body, mind, sensations, feelings, perceptions, memories are just the play of consciousness. The Shakti aspect of Shiva. And we would be utterly bored if the play was just one harmony. No, we love the show, the play, different faces, different events, different feelings, we love that. But what's also available to us is to experience all of that without actually suffering, without being an entity that suffers. That's all illusion. That's the ignorance, being, I am this body mind. Why to choose I am this particular body mind? There is a particular body mind, and there are other body minds, there are infinite body minds, there are perceptions, sensations. But this moment and every moment is just this aware presence. And this awareness doesn't belong to the body. That's the key thing. It doesn't belong to the body. The body belongs to it. In other words, it perceives, the body appears as perception, as sensation, appears within consciousness. Consciousness doesn't appear in the body. Have you ever opened the brain and found a consciousness? No. It's the other way around. The world, body, mind appears to you. You are this vastness. You are the beingness of being. The beingness of being, the essence of being.
Yeah, what I discovered is the suffering comes from the attachments to the stories and the emotions. The lessons are inevitable, but the suffering is optional. And if you attach to the stories and the emotions and judge it, fear it, become insecure by it, then you're separate from the truth.
And for the attachment to occur, there has to be a reason. We attach to something in order to protect us, ourselves, in order to defend ourselves, in order to have a certain feeling that makes us feel better. What does this mean? What is it that is feeling threatened or that is trying to get a better state? What is it? In this
ego.
Huh?
It's the ego separation, the personality.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, thank you. It was fun to, I'll continue that journey of going out of the planet.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah,
thank you for your sharing.
Thank
you. Any questions?
Hi, Marty.
Hi, Maria. So how are you, Maria?
I'm good. Sorry, I'm kind of in darkness here. You just asked a question. So what is that attachment? You know, in the previous conversation, can you continue talking a little bit more about what is that attachment? Or where that attachment comes from?
Now, whatever we do, it has to make sense. It has to make sense. So when we live in a city, we come home, we go into the house, we lock the door. It makes sense to lock the door because in the city, there are all sorts of people. It's not like a small village where everybody knows everybody. You know, there are some people that, you know, they see an open door, they go in the city to maybe do some harm. So it makes sense. So we are attached to our car, for example. It makes sense for us to take care of our car, to, you know, make sure it's running good, to do the maintenance on it, to keep it clean, whatever, you know, change the filters, etc. It makes sense because the car serves a function, and it serves us. So we serve it, we take care of it. It makes sense. It makes sense for us to take care of the body. Take care of the body, to feed the body, to clean the body, to give exercise to the body, etc. Give the body rest. Because the body, it serves us. It serves us to enjoy. It serves us to share in satsang. It serves us to celebrate with friends. It serves us to create, etc. It makes sense. But we also understand that, you know, the car, the house, the body, they are impermanent, meaning in time they will all be trashed. You know, the car after so many years, newer model, or, you know, the body. We know the body slowly it moves in one direction. So so it makes sense to take care of the body, take care of the car, but not to make your happiness dependent on the body, because the body, or not just your body, even the body of your children, of your parents, of your friends, not to make your happiness, your peace and your happiness dependent on the car or on the house or on the body. That makes sense. It makes sense. But yet, we don't do that. We feel miserable. We feel very, our happiness is completely turned upside down when something happens to our car, our house, or our body. I don't mean just a regular irritation because somebody banged into your car and damaged it. No, I mean, it's normal to have an irritation, but it goes beyond that. We actually, I remember once I was in a large parking lot in a store, and I came out from the store, and they have this cart. I had some things in the cart, and I was taking the cart to my car, and I got to my car. There were many cars parked, so I stopped the cart next to my car, and I opened the hood, the trunk. Excuse me. When I opened the trunk, my cart rolled because it was a little hilly, not big hill, just barely. It rolled, and before I could catch it, it hit the car parked next to me. Hit it. It tapped it, and right at this moment is my good luck. Right at this moment, the owner of that car was just there arriving to the car, and he saw that, and he. Oh my God, he had of course, I apologized, but he had a heavy-duty tantrum, about, oh my, I don't know, he went berserk. So and there was no damage to his car, because if there was damage, I would have paid for it, but there was no damage. So he was very unhappy, and of course, I was unhappy too. But that's the attachment, you say. It makes no sense. Makes no sense. So the question is, why do we do things that makes no sense? Why do we suffer while knowing very well that it is all impermanent? Why do we suffer? Obviously, there must be a reason, you see. So we look at what is the reason. Why do you suffer? Why? Why do you suffer? We only suffer because if we feel there is something important happening to me, important, something really wrong happening to me, to my world, my family, my tribe. So when you peel the onion, of suffering, you will find that you suffer because you believe yourself to be a separate consciousness, a limited consciousness, a person, a body mind. It's somebody existing in time and space. And that your peace and happiness is contingent upon certain situations or certain conditions. Maybe it's contingent upon the health of the body, upon the success of your business, upon the health of your children or the success of your children, or you have contingencies. You placing contingencies upon peace and happiness. Well, that's the game we choose. We choose that game. Nobody's forcing us to say, okay, well, it's very, very important for my children to be successful. You're choosing that. And if you choose that, then you may be happy if your children are very successful, or you may be very miserable if your children are not successful, etc. You play this game. So the attachment, what does attachment mean? A is attached to B. In your experience, where is A and B? Right now, where is A and B? In your experience right now? Because attachment is between two objects. Two objects. In your experience right now, where are the two objects? Here are two objects. Here are two objects. Two objects. Are they attached to each other? I don't know. I mean, no. I don't even know what it means for them to be attached to each other. Is this side of the glasses and that side of the glasses attached to each other? I don't know. I mean, they're part of the glasses. So yeah, you do need a a right side and a left side to fit, to hold, So attachment, if you look at your experience, what is attachment? It's you have to infer a me and something else. You have to infer that, because in your experience, there isn't a me. There is just this perception, a sensation, maybe a thought, an image. But what is the attachment? In order to be attached, you need to infer there's an entity that attaches itself. I guess, I don't know, like when you go in the water, there are these slugs, they attach themselves to your leg and they suck your blood, You have to imagine. So you infer a separate being, that I am this body mind, I am Maria. And because you believe, or I believe that I am Megdi, now then I need to also believe that I need something to be happy. In fact, what happens is, as soon as you believe that consciousness is personal and limited, as soon as you believe that you are a personal self, you are unhappy. You're unhappy because now you're a separate entity. Well, it's all fiction. You're a separate entity. And so you're separated from the rest. And you cannot be happy separated from the rest. Why? Because your true nature is non-separate. Your reality is Advaita, non-dual. So you're pulling, out of your body, your arm. You're pulling your arm out of your body, but it hurts. You can't be happy separating yourself from consciousness, from the totality. So you experience what is called the sense of separation, or the sense of lack. And when you experience a sense of lack, you experience yourself as you're in a cocoon. You're separate. You're in a cocoon. And to me, I'm inside this cocoon, and my life, oh my God, all sorts of things are happening to me, inside this cocoon. This is all in the mind, the mind. And so because you are unhappy as a separate self, you want happiness. So that's why we often say unhappiness is the part of the motivation in Advaita, that quote unquote suffering is a call for happiness. So you have that call for happiness, but because you still haven't come to the understanding about separation. I'm not talking about you here, Maria. I'm talking generically, okay? Please don't misunderstand me. Because we have not arrived to the understanding about the process of separation. We are identified as this body-mind. And because we want happiness, we're seeking happiness, our perception now is the perception of ignorance. We perceive ourselves as an object in the world of things. So we are seeking things now. We're seeking, relationships. We're seeking money. We're seeking health for the body. We're seeking power. We're seeking love. We're seeking popularity. Whatever. We're seeking something in the family, in the world, in the body, in the mind, to make us happy. And it's all nonsense. It will never work. It doesn't work because separation is not real. The only cure to unhappiness is to realize your true nature. You realize that, in fact, you are never unhappy, that what you truly are is happiness itself, that what you truly are is love itself. is intimacy itself, from the one reality, the reality of consciousness. So only upon moving more and more towards this understanding will you become more and more free from the illusion of attachment.
Marty, however, this misidentification and the unhappiness, that's also all coming from consciousness. Like you said, it's like lila, it's like the play of it all, right?
Yes, and yes, of course, it is all consciousness. There's only one reality, one consciousness. And so, yes, of course, you are free to continue the play. You are completely free to continue to suffer, or to continue, the belief that, happiness, you will be happy, or in time, in space, when the stars line up. Yes, of course. This is all one reality. It's one consciousness. This is why we say in Advaita that we talk about the impression of suffering. We don't speak about suffering is real. Suffering was real. That's it. We all suffer, period. End of conversation. We're not going to argue with reality. No, we speak about suffering as an impression, as a choice. So yes, you are correct, Maria. It is the choice of consciousness, and you are consciousness. And you can choose my moment, meaning in this moment. I'm not talking about later. In this moment, you can choose to simply be, think, feel, perceive, act as universal consciousness.
And yet, another way, when you say, when we are, I don't know, I guess when consciousness is identified as a separate body and mind, there's really not a choice as a separate body mind. All choices come from consciousness.
It's consciousness which is choosing to be a separate body mind. There is no separate body mind.
Body mind, right.
This
is an impression of a separate body mind.
Yes, but that which chooses to believe that awareness, consciousness is separate and limited and dependent on the body mind, that which chooses that is consciousness. But consciousness is not something other than your very self. I mean, you can't just blame it on consciousness and then go home.
Well, you could just say, here we go again. Consciousness is playing a fun game here. You can laugh at it when suffering, apparent or impression of suffering seems to arise.
Well, wait a minute. If it's fun, then it's fun. There's no need to for the fun. I'm not, obviously, if it's fun, I mean, here we're having fun right now. That's fun. That's a problem. I'm talking about when consciousness choosing the less fun or sometimes pretty miserable game. Yeah, you could say this is a choice of consciousness, but that's not really profound. There's no heart in that, It's not just like giving lip service, to making statements. Oh, wow, this was a nice statement about consciousness. No, we've got to take it at heart, and get to the implication of what is being shared, or to the significance of the understanding that in this moment, how am I, what is the choice that I'm making from, what is the position that I'm taking in this moment as I'm perceiving, as I'm being presented with a certain situation? Because I don't know the situation, it's always fresh. From what perspective am I approaching the situation? Am I approaching the situation from the perspective of being a limited, separate consciousness that has to protect itself, or am I approaching the situation? At least I'm open to the possibility of approaching the situation as universal consciousness, and also as intelligence, because intelligence is one of the attributes of consciousness. And intelligence doesn't mean be a sacrificial lamb, or doesn't mean intelligence it's always in the moment. There isn't any particular way of behaving or responding ahead of time. It's in this particular moment. You have data and information available to you that in a mix of situation, a certain mix of situation that's available to you, that is, you can contemplate it freshly from a place of that is open to the possibility that it's all myself, and that there is nothing at stake. That the welfare of the whole is my welfare. That the other is my very self, and to live from that perspective, which is the perspective of love and wisdom and understanding and intelligence. I mean, it may be intelligent at some time to fire somebody, but it doesn't come from ignorance. It can come from complete peace and wisdom and love, and where you have to fire somebody, and there may be some resistance from the ego. Oh my God, somehow it's not rational. There may be an irrational feeling of that's going against that. Well, the rational is saying fire this person. The irrational is saying, oh, some fear. Some fear. That fear, that's not wisdom. That's not intelligence. So you have to take a look at that. I mean, I'm just speaking, completely, in the. So, yeah, the point that I want to make is that in living as universal consciousness, universal awareness, it does not. It includes intelligence. It's not a stupid. It's not like there is intelligence too, and intelligence takes the form that it takes in that moment.
That's beautiful. Thank you. That intelligence takes its shape at the moment. Yeah.
Yes.
There has to be some, trust and intuition about this intelligence or wisdom.
It's there. Intelligence is there, and
it's there.
What veils the intelligence is the emotions, and the emotions are the result of the belief that separation. There, it's not your intelligence; it's God's intelligence. It's there. Veil is that I am a personal body, mind, and there is something at stake. There's something at stake, because when consciousness identifies itself as a separate, limited consciousness, then the experience is that of lack, insufficiency, and fear. Fear of ending, fear of dying, fear of loss, fear. These come hand in hand with, and that's the impression that there is something at stake. You say that impression that we need to preserve and defend, protect, and so when we're living from that download, then the emotions remain on board and rooted in us.
Mm-hmm. Which is like a world culture, right? The survival of the fittest, the Darwinistic approach of the scarcity of resources and so forth, that everything around us tells us that something's at stake and everything's limited. Where we're talking about consciousness being limitless and infinite.
The Darwinistic approach of the survivor of the fittest is at the phenomenal level, is at the body-mind level. So at the body-mind level, the species are seeking the highest order for survival. But that's not what I'm talking about. No, I'm talking about the survival of the I, of my survival, not the survival of the species. The survival of the species is operating at a different level. It's operating at the body-mind level. It's operating at the phenomenal level, at the level of manifestation. How the universe is changing, species and everything is changing, is shifting, is adapting. But it's like we're becoming more and more immune to pollution, as at the phenomenal level, at the body level. The body is becoming more and more it can sustain more and more toxicity. And you take a body from a few hundred years ago and bring them transport them in time, teleport them to today, they'll die at the age of 20. They're not used to all this pollution. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this survival, not of the species, not Darwin. I'm talking about the survival of me, the survival of consciousness. Now, consciousness, of course, isn't in the realm of birth and death, you see. So the survival of consciousness is an illusion. Is this the impression of separation, the believing that consciousness, depends on the body-mind is the what I'm referring to, the survival of consciousness as a body, you see. So it's very challenging to Advaita is very challenging. It's not for everybody, because Advaita, basically you are embarking on a journey of harakiri, because you're basically moving towards the obliteration of me.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody, that takes a lot of I don't know, a lot of ability, a lot of love for truth, a lot of courage to contemplate what we're sharing, because we're talking about the end of me. So, but what's reassuring is that don't worry about the end of me, it's only the end of the illusion. There's no end to consciousness. So what we're talking about is beyond time and space. We're not talking about, the year 2020, because what we're talking about is, we'll be talking about the same thing in the year 14,000, or in the year, what they were talking about in the year 800 before Christ. We're talking about reality, about truth, you see. So you need to really appreciate that this conversation is, the import of this conversation is humongous.
Yes. Thank you so much, Magdi.
Okay, Maria, very lovely to see you, Maria. Very
Same here, Magdi. Beautiful. Thank you.
okay. Okay. Well, very lovely to be with you all. Thank you all, Frank and Nathan, Mina, George, Walter, Grace.
Thank you, Magdi.
Grace, Holger. Hola, Isaac.
Hola.
Bill, my friend. Holly, Lisa.
Thanks, Mark.
Lucas, nice to see you, Lisa, and Desmond. And thank you all, and thank you, Walter, for the lovely haiku. Yes.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
And hi to Frank's mom.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. Lovely.
Walter. Good to see you, Walter. Yeah, mom's here. She's helping me cook.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Magdi.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
See you all.